And we are live. So you can start logging in. Make sure you're logging into VPF 2021. Excitement. If there is something that I can tell you guys right now, a little secret before the whole thing starts, it's all the artists that you see on the flyer on the roster. Uh, you've all seen them, and you have all seen their A game, right? You've seen their A game, all of them. There's plenty of footage, content online about them, of them, with them, from them, and it's amazing and it's incredible. But let me tell you something. If you think you've seen their A game, your respect for them after this event is gonna be at another level. Uh, it's in one word, guys, it's ridiculous. Um, you are going to love each and every one of this artists' clinics. I promise you that they are bringing it. And really quick, guys, I apologize if sometimes it looks like I'm looking up. My monitor is a little bit up higher, right? And my camera is at a lower angle. So there, I'm looking at you now. I'm looking at the monitor, and it looks like that. So you know, I'll try my best. If there is one thing that I do not claim, it's that I am not a techie, not at all. So yeah, that's my disclaimer. Please take that into consideration. Please, por favor. Yes. Okay, so I will just wait for more people to log on and so that we can start. I came out live a little bit earlier. Uh, the event is set to start right at 9, but I decided to come up a little bit earlier because I know some of you want to start logging on and start checking it out and maybe start checking, you know, your sound system. This is the beautiful thing about this, guys, that you know we all wish we could go and run into these people, and see their clinics, see their concerts, see them live. And guess what? They are coming live to you in your house, in your device, in your place of work, wherever you may be. You're going to get today, you're going to get Joe Moore the third. You're going to get Julie Davila. You're going to get Kevin Donca. You're going to get Jim Riley. That's your morning today. Oh my gosh. And then, oh my gosh, guys, a performance out of this world, out of this world, out of this world. Rolf Nader. If I were to tell you Rolf Nader is going to bring it today, guys, I don't even begin to scratch the surface in telling you that Rolf Nader is bringing it today. Then we have some performances by University of North Texas under the direction of Dr. Mark Ford. Yay. They are in the house. Then we have Nick Worth bringing Galaxy. And guys, get your pads out, get your sticks out. You are going to learn a brand new Rhythm of Conscience lick by Nick Worth titled VPF 2021. VPF 2021. So we kind of like this event, I guess, has upgraded just a bit, guys. We got our own lick now, so keep that in mind. And then Oh my gosh, Gustavo Miranda. Yeah, you're going to learn some really neat stuff in his clinic. And then we have some more performances by the University of North Texas. And then, oh my gosh, Sir Rich Redmond. No matter what I say, guys, it's not going to explain it. You got to see it. And I promise you, you don't want to miss anything. So right now, you still have time. It's 8:51 Central Time. We start with a little bit of introduction, guys, around 8:55. 8:55, which is in about 4 minutes ish. So you have 4 minutes to go and get your coffee. I got my coffee right here, and to go and get, whatever it is that you want to be, maybe munching on or something. Fine tune your sound system. Maybe the contrast on your monitor. I don't know, whatever it is that you want to do. Trust me, you want to experience this the fullest. Do what you need to do, but do it now. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, guys, I think you have seen and heard enough of me. I am going to exit for a bit. Exit stage left, or is it? Well, you know what I mean. Yeah? Okay. I will see you in a bit. Oh, before I go, share, share the link. If you're on YouTube, share it on your social medias. If you're on Facebook, share it, spam it. Let the world know that today we party and we are going to have lots and lots and lots of fun. So, you down for that? You down for that? How about giving a little bit of comments and saying, I am down for VPF 2021, and then tell us where you're watching from. Tell us where you are going to be watching from. Please, please do. And again, I am exiting stage left. See you in a bit.
Hey everyone, Jeff Mulvihill here from Sonar Drums, Mapex Drums, and Majestic Percussion. Shout out to everyone at the Valley Percussion Festival. Follow on socials, Valley Percussion Festival, for an exciting, inspiring list of virtual events coming up beginning on May 8th. There's really a wide range of inspiring talent ready to share some drumming, share some music, share some education, share some inspiration with all of you. And I can't say enough about Gilbert Garcia for organizing this event as a tool for you guys to really make some progress on your percussion journey. 2020 was extremely challenging for all of us, and I know we're all looking for ways to stay inspired and stay progressing in our music making. So please check out the Valley Percussion Festival. I'm Jeff Mulvihill. Good luck in 2021, everyone. Stay healthy.
Those are some very, very touching words, guys, by Mr. Mulvihill from Mapex, Sonar, and Majestic. Um, it kind of sets the tone for why we are doing this, why the event came about, and the reason or how or why the event came about. Uh, I think is the reason why the event has reached so far and so much uh, 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 that it's reaching. Right, we've gotten some interest from different parts of the world, and this event started and was being uh, done live in South Texas, the Rio Grande Valley area, and I'm an educator. I teach percussion at Valley View ISD, and keeping in touch with my peers throughout the United States and in other, states, not just in Texas. I noticed how students were not showing up to their music classes. They were not showing up to sectionals. Uh, they would, you know, be logged in to our classes, but they were not there, right? Sometimes we would ask questions and they were not there. So we know, guys, now you know that we know, okay? Uh, but it's all good, guys. We love you and we're doing this for you. So I noticed that there was uh, a lot of uh, lack of interest in the craft. Students weren't showing up for sectionals, for private lessons, for their scheduled classes. And, speaking to some students and getting feedback from other directors, the main thing seemed to be like they don't, they didn't have a reason. They didn't feel like there was a reason to do music, to practice our craft at the present time of COVID. And, On top of that, I also got to see, at least here locally, guys, locally in my neck of the woods, I noticed that, some students or some young kids were attempting suicide. Some of them were actually committed suicide. And, no, no, that's a big no. And it was, I guess, my personal way as the organizer, but also every single artist that you see on that list, every single educator, that is the reason why we are doing this. We're doing it for you, for the young, beautiful minds and bodies and souls of our young students. And a byproduct of that, guys, it's we need it too. COVID didn't just hit our young kids; it hit us, the adults too. And what better? I mean, there isn't a better reason or why to celebrate, uh, you know, using our craft as that one tool. Celebrate doing what we love. And in our case, the worldwide drumming percussion community, we like to drum. We like to hit stuff. We like to make beautiful music playing on surfaces. And why not make a party out of it? And voila, it's here. It's in front of us, and we're going to enjoy it. Yes. Guys, I have spoken enough of me. I we need to start, right? We came to learn. Joe Moore. Oh my gosh. His clinic is going to give me a quick second. His clinic, guys, it's informative. You're gonna love it. You're gonna love it. So let without further ado, here we go.
Hey Valley Percussionists, welcome to the Valley Percussion Festival 2021. My name is Joe Moore and I'm going to get you started in this festival. I hope you all are doing great today. We're going to start with working on a daily snare drum warm-up routine, and this is going to lead us into everything else you're going to be talking about today. So why should we warm up? And the answer to that is to get our hands moving, to get the blood flowing to our muscles, so that we don't injure ourselves or hurt ourselves. If we think about it like this, if you ever taken a cold dish out of the refrigerator and stuck it in a hot sink of water, what would happen to that cold dish? It would break, okay? And the same thing applies to our muscles and to our tendons and etc. If we go straight into fast playing and haven't warmed up or haven't got the blood flowing to our muscles and getting the oxygen to our muscles, then we're going to end up injuring ourselves or hurting ourselves in some way. So warming up is very important so that we don't injure ourselves. We need to understand the levers in which we'll be using when playing percussion. Okay, there are three main levers for playing percussion: arm. Okay, we'll include shoulder in that, your entire arm, wrist, right here. Okay, and then fingers. So arm, wrist, and fingers, and then understanding when those things need to come into play. Okay, your arm is typically going to be used when you're playing slower rhythms or things that slower tempi. So utilizing the arm will come into play at that point. If you've ever seen a marching band play, or you've ever been in marching band and you've played something like da 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 da, you used a lot of arm visually to make it's appealing to the audience, but also you're just using your arm in that sense. So and the rhythms are slower, so you're able to do that. Okay, as the rhythms and the tempi or the tempo gets faster, then we're going to move down to our smaller muscle groups. So less arm and more wrist as the tempo gets faster. And then as it gets faster than that, less wrist and more fingers. Okay? The best percussion stroke has a combination of all three: arm, wrist, and fingers. The tempo will determine which one of those levers is more dominant than the others. If you're playing at a slower tempo, that means the arm is going to be more dominant. If you're playing at a medium to fast tempo, that means the wrist is going to be more dominant. If you're playing at a very fast tempo, that means that your fingers are going to be more dominant in the stroke. Okay? So that's good. So understanding the levers. Now let's go ahead and talk about the 4 ways that your wrists turn, because those are things that we're going to want to warm up as well. The first way that your wrist turn is like so. So if you're all there watching, go ahead and follow me on this. Knocking on the door is number 1. So put your hands up like you're going to knock on the door, okay, and turn your wrist in that way. This is our basic percussion stroke. You think 2-mallet keyboard, you think match grip snare drum. That's what this motion is used for, knocking on the door. Number 2 is called turning the doorknob. Okay, so if you pretend like you're reaching out to turn a doorknob, it's going to look something like this. Okay, you do that in both hands. Okay, this motion is used for our inside mallet rotation when we're playing 4 mallets. It is also used for our left hand traditional grip snare drum, the same motion. Okay, so if we can isolate that and build. Valley percussionists, welcome. What I typically do with my students and what I typically do as a part of my warm-up is I will take a drum pad or just put a towel on the drum like so, and I will isolate each one of those wrist motions without sticks. Okay, so I'll take the first motion here, knocking on the door, and I'll spend some time, a few minutes, just tapping on the drum or knocking on the drum to get my hands going that way. The next one, turning the doorknob. So for that one, I actually just turn my wrist in like so, okay, and I rotate this way, and I'll do that on the drum or on a drum pad as well. The next one is prayer hands, okay, and so this motion, and I'll do the same thing, knock on the drum, but in that motion. Also with the chop, the same thing. I'll just close my hand into a fist and still move that motion there and knock on the drum that way. It's going to be a lot softer because it's a lot smaller muscle groups moving. So those are the ways you can kind of get your wrist turns going. One thing I've added to my warm-up recently is hand clapping. And I got this from a friend of mine, percussionist Joshua Jones of the Kansas City Symphony. He does a lot of hand clapping to get himself warmed up. He does 1,600 hand claps a day. So I've started to add this to my warm-up routine, just clapping my hands like so. But what that is really working on is this motion that we tend to do a lot of in percussion. So getting that very, very warm, okay? And a good way to do it fast is by doing those hand claps, okay? And get yourself warmed up in that way. I want you to go ahead and move to page 2 of my daily warm-up routine, okay? And we're gonna start getting ourselves warm. First thing I do is I play some sort of stick control. Okay, you guys have probably heard that term before, stick control. You probably played some of George Stone's stick control. So what I do is I just have a group of 16th notes there, a measure of 16th notes, but I like to be improvisatory with my stick control because it's a warm-up, so I think it's good to do some improvisation as well. So what I'll do is I'll play 16th notes, kind of get my hands going, I'll start to change the stickings. That adds to that stick control dynamic. I'll also change the dynamics, okay, so give myself different dynamic levels to play at. I'll add accents, okay, accents to unaccented notes. Then I'll add flams. And once I've added flams, I'm really doing all of the other things. I've got different stickings in there. I've got accented notes to unaccented notes or taps, okay? And I've got different dynamic levels going on because of the accents and tapped notes. Okay? I'll usually do this for 3 minutes in my warm-up, but let's take a minute or so here and let's actually just play. So you can play along with me right at your house or wherever you are, and we're going to just play 16th notes, okay? That'll be our tempo. Ready, and... You can change dynamic levels, start to change the stickings. And then finally add flams. Okay? Do that for about 3 minutes or so. Improvising, kind of get your hands going, get your brain thinking as well because you're improvising. So that's good. And I play this on a towel. Like so. I've got this towel up here from when we were warming up earlier, but I also play with my sticks on the towel as well, just so I can hear this sound hand to hand. I want to make sure that my hands sound even right to left, okay? And so I'm listening for that by playing on a towel with the snares off, okay? It's also a good way to start to build the muscles up in your hands as well, just almost similar to playing on a pillow, so it's a good tool to use. All right, then from there, I go into my next portion of my warm-up, which is triplet diddle, single dap, okay? You've probably played triplet diddle before, so forth and so on, except this time, instead of playing diddles, we're going to play singles, okay? And so it's all written out there for you. We'll do it one time here slow. Actually, we'll do it twice because we want to repeat it and start it off the left hand. So once you get to that last measure, you have okay, all alternating, which will then reverse everything to the left hand the second time through. So let's try that together. And we won't go super fast, but you can go whatever tempo is comfortable for you on your own. But let's try this together. About that tempo. Here we go. Triplet diddle singled out is to work on the transfer from wrist strokes to finger strokes, from turning your wrists to pushing with your fingers. And obviously it's not going to be so prevalent at the slower tempo, but as you get faster, you can definitely make those transitions more smooth and more comfortable. So forth and so on. Okay? After that, the next thing I do is things that we will commonly see in music every day, whether it's in band, it could be in marching percussion, percussion ensemble, orchestra, etc. I want to do some things that we're going to run into every day, and those things are grace notes, okay, flams, drags, four-stroke roughs, and then also buzz rolls. So the first thing I do is I play 100 right hand flams followed by 100 left hand flams, 100 right hand drags followed by 100 left hand drags followed by 100 four-stroke roughs. Okay, now the way I do that is I count to 25 times. Okay, and that will give me my 100. So I count each one to 25 times. So I start with the right hand as the primary note, left hand as the grace note. And we'll do these together. So here we go. About that tempo. That's our quarter note. 1, 2, ready, and. So that's on the right hand, then we move to the left. Here we go. 1, 2, left, and. 2. 3. 4. 5. Next, I go into drags, so we'll do the same thing. And obviously I'm trying to make sure that my drags sound the same. However you interpret them, that is up to you, whether you interpret them tight to the beat or a little bit more open, that is all up to you. But whatever you do, be consistent. So we're looking for the same sound for each one, okay? We'll go about the same tempo. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, ready, and. 2. 3. 4. 5. Okay, and then off the left. Here we go. 1, 2, ready, and. 2. 3. 4. 5. Good. Now the alternative, or another thing I would do, is play them all soft. Okay, I started today with playing them all stronger, fortissimo sort of sound. I could play them all at pianissimo and piano, etc. Okay, and then four-stroke roughs. Now you can play your four-stroke roughs however you like to play them. I like to play mine with the sticking right, left, left, right. The putted is sticking. Now you can play yours all singled out. Left, right, if that's what you like to do. But the sticking I use is the putted is sticking. It's all up to you, whatever's comfortable for you. Here we go, let's play our four-stroke roughs. Probably about that tempo. 1, 2, ready, and. 2. 3. 100 of those. So the goal is do 100 a day, keep the conductor away. So those are all things that I do, and those are great things to include in your daily routine, because those are things that you see on a regular basis in all of your ensemble playing. So the next thing I do is a little Scheherazade practice of the 7-stroke roll. I practice it by doing more than I would actually need to do, and you've probably played that little 7-stroke roll in some of your all-state etudes, especially if you played the Cerrone etude that is based on Scheherazade. You probably played that 7-stroke roll in there. So this is a good way to work on that. But we're going to skip that right now, and we're going to jump right into the buzz rolls. Okay, so I do 100 beats of a buzz roll. Okay, and I use the skeleton of a 6-tuplet, and I do a soft roll followed by a loud roll. So 100 beats soft, 100 beats loud. Okay, piano and fortissimo. Again, the goal here is to really try to smooth out the roll, and also get comfortable and developing some endurance in your playing. Okay, so here is the buzz roll. Okay, so soft buzz roll, 6-tuplet skeleton, about that speed. Okay, and I'll count for you, but just play along with me. 1, 2, ready, and. Your 100 beats. Okay, then check that out a little bit. Okay, should feel pretty good. Okay, the blood is starting to flow a little bit more here. But now, and the soft one seems fairly simple, right? Okay, now let's do the fortissimo roll here. Okay. Same speed, but fortissimo instead. So here we go. 2, ready, and. A little bit and then you get ready to play. If you do this every day, you're going to see a great increase in your playing. Okay. day. Now, obviously, there are a lot of other technical things that you need to work on, but I think you all need to develop something that you do every day consistently. It doesn't have to necessarily be what I do, but it can be what you do and what works for you in getting your hands warmed up and moving and ready to play anything that you might encounter throughout your day or throughout your musical journey. Developing a daily routine is important. It keeps you from getting injured, but it also helps you develop your skills. That's my session. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Again, thank you to Gilbert Garcia for inviting me to present at the Valley Percussion Festival. Hope you all have a great rest of your day. Take care.
Yes, guys, I'm new. I didn't turn my mic on. Sorry. Again, I never claimed to be a techie. Never did. Full disclaimer. Um, wow, we have people from different parts of the states, from overseas as well. Um, Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful coming together and enjoying and having a party, virtual party. So, what do you think of Joe Moore's clinic? Super informative, and guys, his concepts, his ideas, his stuff works. So you can take all of those concepts, put them in your toolbox, utilize them, and they will pay you high interest. Yes. Next, next we have a very uh, special group, guys. This gentleman, their teacher, he reached out to us through email about trying to get his group to be showcased, and I need to tell you something about him, guys. And I'm talking to Mr. Jovan Milford's studio, okay, in Allen University, guys. He went out of his way to get you to be streamed in this event. So, yes, if you are watching right now and you're a fan or a fellow member of the Allen University Percussion Studio, you need to comment right now and thank him because he went above and beyond to get you guys here. And I'm glad he reached out because you guys put on a beautiful, beautiful performance, uh, as we are about to see. And enough of me, guys. Enjoy. Yes, I did it again. I'm sorry. Lovely, lovely, lovely performance by Allen University Percussion Studio under the direction of Jovan Milford. Jovan Milford, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Um, I told you guys you were not going to be disappointed, and amazing performance by them. Bravo to Mr. Uh, Milford and your studio, sir. Well done. Next, in our schedule, guys, we have a very special uh, person that personally I hold very close and dear to my heart, and not only the next clinician, but her entire family, Mr. Lalo Davila, and their beautiful daughters, and of course Julie Davila. She is an amazing educator, adjudicator. uh, can't say really cannot say enough about her. Her clinic is I think it's great for every percussion educator, right? But in particular, guys, this year we tried to make what used to be Valley Day of Percussion. We tried to make this festival, guys, to have something for everybody, and not just us as percussionists, but as percussionists we're part of something bigger, right? We're either part of a music group, a music band, or we're part of an ensemble, an orchestra, a band, a marching band, an orchestra, or a concert band, excuse me. And so the next clinic is great for band directors or music educators that are not percussionists, are not drummers, and you're thinking, man, how can I teach my kids? And she also has this program out that you can use, and you can pretty much hire her, and she will be teaching your group. So you'll get this awesome material that you're about to see directly from her into your studios. Uh, um, so yes, sorry, I got excited because her program is really, really good. You need to check it out. So for percussionists and non-percussionists, enjoy the next clinic by Julie Davila.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Valley Day of Percussion 2021. I'm so excited to be here with you today here in South Texas to be a part of this Valley Day of Percussion. It used to be known as the Day of Percussion. But wow, what a lineup you guys have to check out today. So hey, thanks for tuning in to my clinic. It's called Slow Time is Go Time. So my name is Julie Davila. I'm coming to you from Nashville, Tennessee today, where I teach at Middle Tennessee State University, amongst a ton of other freelance work that I do here in the area and actually throughout the United States. So I'm excited to present. One of my favorite things to do in presenting clinics is talk about kind of some fundamentals, but I want to caution you to think that fundamentals are easy, right? I mean, we hope that they become easy and we burn them in, but so many of the things I'm going to talk about today are really fundamentally important for developing your advanced skills as well. So it's something we're going to take a look at pretty slow, pretty methodically here in the beginning, But by the end of this 50-minute session, 50-minute session, it's going to apply to really all the advanced rudiments, even some of the hybrid stuff. So, all right, I hope you'll stick with me. Here we go. So the first thing I want to make sure we all have a grasp on is the terminology, full down, tap up, 4 stroke types. And not only familiar with the terminology, but maybe really able to execute those stroke types with some good control and understanding. So if you've never learned this before and this is a new concept to you, you actually might want to, I'm going to run it through it pretty quickly, so you might want to run back and watch this a couple times. If you are familiar with full down, tap up, then this is just a great reboot of getting back to some basics, and it's always a great opportunity to just continue to kind of check yourself along the way. Now you're welcome to play match grip or traditional grip, whichever, and I may float back and forth between the two a little bit today as well. All right, so full strokes are, we're going to start up and we're going to end up. Okay, this is much like bouncing a basketball, right? Where you take the ball, we push it towards the floor, it leaves our hand actually, hits the floor, and the bounce from the floor sends it back up to our hand. We kind of catch that, and then if we're playing simultaneously, we just keep that momentum going. Similar here, we want to use the drum or the practice pad for today to help redirect the bead and give it that momentum to come back up. Okay, so we're essentially going to try to play one full stroke right now, and really essentially think of that as just one motion. The rebound will do quite a bit of work for us, and that's the balance we want to get into at this point, is some of you directing the stick and the stroke, and then also being relaxed enough that the bounce does some work too. Okay, let's go ahead and start up for now on both hands, just so we can see the starting point and the ending point being the same. So here we go. 1, 2, ready, and 4, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, 4, 4. Let's go left hand. Ready, and 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so I'm just really essentially trying to grasp that, allowing the bounce to do some work, starting and stopping at the top of the stroke. Okay, so we're going to use that when we play loud, or we might just use that on some repetitive accents. All right, so the next stroke, we're going to, like I said, I'm going to go really fast through these because I want to get to some other things. The next stroke we're going to introduce you to is the downstroke. So essentially we start in the same place, but instead of allowing the rebound and the bounce to send it back up, we're going to allow the hand to kind of absorb that. So a couple of things happen that help stop the stick is I know that my wrist is not going to come back up. So I'm conscious of that, right? I know my wrist is going to stop in kind of the neutral position. All right. My fingers actually following along on the back of the stick are really important. If my fingers are loose and they're not on the stick, there's nothing back here to keep the stick down, right? So if I'm just going to kind of play, and even if I stop my wrist, without my fingers on the back of the stick, it's really going to be almost impossible to absorb that rebound and to stop the stick, okay? So what I like to say is that our fingers, different times that we're asked to do different things, it's going to change. But for right now, I like to, when I start students, think about telling them that the fingers are going to stay grazing the stick, right? So I can feel that flesh. So it's a kind of a graze. And I also would say that you can disconnect from the palm side to the stick, but we don't disconnect from the finger side to the stick. So when we need a little give, a little open hand, we can open it here on the palm side, but we're not going to get in a habit of letting go of the fingers. So I like the word graze because it doesn't insinuate like any kind of extra tension and squeeze. Okay, it's just kind of along for the ride, but it does kind of help stop the stick. Okay, so fingers are really important. So for right now, let's try to stop the stick. This is what I like to do, is I like to position the stick I'm not playing with right now in kind of a parallel position. Some people call that kind of how they eyeball 3 inches. So I'm going to position that there, and that's my model, actually. Now I have an actual target to where I want to stop the stick when I play my downstroke. So I'm trying to stop right there. Starting up, so it's a loud note, but it's getting ready to play soft, okay? The downstroke. So just work on that to start. And that really, where you develop the downstroke, it really is slow tempo. Okay, left hand, let's do this together. 1, 2, ready, go. All right, so we stop down here, again, 2, ready, go. All right, so just that extra vision, like that extra thing I can see that I'm really trying to model after can be really helpful. Now, the key is, though, you got to be patient, right? You got to go slow, you know? You got to really, this has got to be, and I'll show you how important this is later, so just going really slow and learning how to get a full stroke, full sound, forte sound, but end down. Okay, so now we have full stroke, start up, end up, and then downstroke, start up, end down, without a whole lot of squeeze. The next stroke we're going to talk about is the upstroke, which actually starts from this down position. If you place your sticks at kind of parallel at that imaginary 3-inch line, we're going to actually play a note and then end up. So we're starting down and ending up. We're going to come back to upstrokes in just a second. I actually want to transition to taps. So taps and upstrokes actually should create the same sound. The only thing different than a tap or an upstroke is really how they recover, where they end. So a tap is it can be a consecutive 3-inch note, mezzo piano note. Okay, so what does a tap do? It basically essentially moves the same way as a full stroke moves, where I had rebound do a little bit of a work, start up, end up, full stroke. All right, but as I might lower that ceiling for the full stroke and just bring those beads down, 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 down here, it's just a lower ceiling. It's a 3-inch ceiling, but I really kind of want to keep some momentum, keep some bounce, stay relaxed, and let those taps move with some momentum and some ease, right? What I see a lot is students that start playing lower, 2 things, they go extremes on either end. They'll grip a little stronger and kind of just push the mallets, or they'll let go too much and not have any control. So when I'm playing down at that 3-inch level, I really do feel like all the flesh is touching the stick. I'm using a lot of momentum. An object in motion stays in motion. So once I start, if I have repeated taps, I just feel that momentum, right? Let's play just some taps. Let's play like 8 taps on each hand and repeat it once. 1, 2, ready, go. Repeat again. Trying to get the same sound. So I'm really striving, trying to create the same sound for each 8 note. Trying to create the same sound per hand to match the hand sounds too. All right, let's go back then to upstrokes. So when I go to an upstroke, essentially, it's the same thing as a tap, except it ends up. It's going to prepare us for an accent or to play loud. So I like students to just do this, what I just did. 3 taps and an upstroke. Essentially going to the pad, it's the same, right? It's 4 notes going down. The 4th note actually ends up though. So it's down, down, down. So the only difference in my 4th note is I recover up. So really try not to get a louder sound, softer sound. Sometimes people rush, right? So just timing, same sounds. Okay, regardless. All right, there we have full down, tap up, okay? So I know that seems really basic. Some of you this might just be review, and that's okay. I'd love to go back and review and just kind of geek out on all, like, how can I do this better? How can I make my sounds better? How can I refine? I love the word refines, because sometimes we can feel like we can do things, but could we refine things? And that's really kind of with some of these practice strategies today, what I'm going to try to help kind of burn into the way you practice in your mindset. All right, so let's go on. We've done our full strokes. Now, to me, the downstroke and the upstroke are essential. They're so essential for lots of things, but I think it's fundamentally the thing that most students don't spend enough time on. And when that happens, when you don't have really great control and haven't really developed your downstrokes and your upstrokes and the control to do those, it really shows itself in advanced techniques like flams, particularly in the flam family. So if you are like all of us and we need to work on our flams, any of the flam family rudiments, hybrids, any of those things, down and up is where the magic is, okay? It really, truly is. So I'm going to kind of just go through a little bit of that. All right, so we're going to do a down-up exercise we call it bucks, okay? And it's just really, it's 8 notes, so it's just 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3. What we're going to do is we're going to play down, up, and each hand. Okay, so down, up, right hand, down, up, left hand. Then for sake of time, we're going to go on. We're going to do up, down, right hand, up, down, left hand. Now, if you've never done this before, this is a pretty stock marching percussion exercise. A lot of people call it bucks or accent tap exercises. There's a lot of different names. So again, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, and then up, down, up, down. So 4 measures, okay? What I'm striving for is flow. I want to make this, I want to really try to be efficient with my motion. So I'm going to try to be very fluid and not move too fast that I have to wait, like, and stop. And I'm not going to really try to, I'm going to try to stay consistent in the feel of like my fulcrum, my fingers on the stick. I don't want to, I shouldn't have to squeeze extra hard to get the stick to stay down. You might feel a little pressure changes. You shouldn't have to squeeze to get the stick to stay here. It's really a matter, honestly, of just doing this slow enough and burning in what the habit and burning in what does that feel like to stop the stroke and then play an upstroke and be continuous with that. All right, so if you're feeling a lot of squeeze right now, just try to like minimize the squeeze. Only use as much as you have to stop the stick. All right, and I want all my accents to try to stay the same and all my taps to stay the same. So this is 72. Let's just do this a couple times. And 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Here comes up, down, up, 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 up. Again, 2 and 72. I could even go slower if I really wanted to double check and get comfortable with this. Up, up. Okay, so there's one little tap in there that didn't sound like all the other taps, right? So as I'm playing, I'm really listening. And that seems like a given, but it's amazing sometimes when I ask my students, what'd you hear? And they can't name, they played for 3 minutes and they can't name something that happened while they were playing that they're conscious of, like really conscious of. So try to have those critical listening ears going, like, is my rhythm good? Are my timbres the same? Are my hands the same? Is my spacing, there's many things, even in a simple exercise, to train yourself to like look for. Okay, so simple bucks. I'm going to present like 3 layers of kind of that motion that you're going to see in beginning, intermediate, and advanced level literature. Okay, So in the beginning, something as simple as this, these motions, can really make a difference in, let's say, if you have a part, or if you want to play a 16th note grid pattern, where we go. Okay, so if you have a grid pattern, essentially, if I take, and this is a strategy I'm going to mention later in the clinic too, but just for right now, so I can show you this, if I put my left hand bead stick on my leg, and I play the first measure, so I just went, the only difference is I moved my stick to the leg so I could really hone in on my right hand. It's literally that first measure of bucks. You can really see a big contrast. My accent's way up here, my unaccented notes down here. It's not too low, it still speaks, but it's pretty consistent. Then when you play that, put that together, right? It sounds pretty good. What I typically see a lot of in beginning intermediate players is there's a myriad of things, but sometimes I see the left hand, because it doesn't have to change, it literally is playing taps. Left hand kind of just is too low. The right hand has an accent height, and then the second note of the right hand, which is the and beat of 16 notes, the second note kind of maybe rebounds about here. So you're trying to stop the stick, but it had a little rebound to it. It didn't really stop the stick. All right, so now you have 3 different sounds. It's hard for me. All right, so I see that a lot, like, right, which you're playing the part, but it's not refined, like I talked about. So changed. I'm going to change back. Okay, so that ability to do this really helps those kinds of motions. In the second measure of that 16-note grid, where we have the accent on the E, if you look at the left hand, I'm playing an accent on the E, and then an upstroke on the which is the accent tap, the bucks off the left hand. So once again, let me take my right hand, put it on my leg, and I'm going to play that measure with the E accent. Okay, so let's just take the right hand out. If you didn't know those were E's and U's, right, it would just look like bucks and move like bucks. It's an accent and an up. So once again, that's what makes this sound good. If I don't have those heights under control, particularly the downstroke, then I'm going to get a right hand height on all those unaccented notes. I'm going to have an accent height, and then I'm going to have something in between. My switch. Okay, so you can hear down here, all the low notes, I'm trying to make them sound the same. All right, then if we go into the third measure, which is, you can see that the right hand does the upbeat bucks. Fourth measure, where I'm going to accent the left hand does the upbeat bucks. 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1. So this exercise that we did in the beginning, simple bucks, upbeat bucks, will help you sound better at 16-note patterns like this. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1. Now, in music, a lot of times, we're not going to play a grid, right? But we're training our hands for things like, you know, you might play some section of music or phrase that has kind of So you might have a phrase that you play in your show or in your solo that you're working on that has a pattern like that. It's literally this, it's the same thing as that grid. It's just little cells of that grid in different parts, right? So again, if I don't really have the control of the downstroke in particular or the upstroke, it all becomes a little homogenized. You might still hear the accent, but it's just not refined. So that's where like the really beginning technique of this, the mechanics, that's kind of at the beginning level, but it's huge, right? Because let's say I have a flam pattern that's based on a pattern like a 16 note pattern like that. Well, if this isn't very good, and everything's kind of up here, what I call the strike zone, so I can still hear the accents, but it's not that taps, accents. And if I start to put flams in there, it's going to get really out of control. Because everything's just too high and floppy, and when you add in the flams, it's just more dense things to try to have to control. So gaining this refinement of the accent tap, the simple bucks, really makes a difference and when you get into more advanced flam language, okay? So that's how it applies to beginning. An intermediate application would be paradiddles, right? I love to teach paradiddles. It's almost the first rudiment I teach because it has 3 out of the 4 stroke types in it. We have a downstroke, an upstroke, and 2 taps. Down, up, tap, tap, down, up, tap, tap, down, up, tap, tap, down, up, tap, tap. I can almost always tell. It's one of the first rudiments I call for students that I've never heard play before. And I can almost tell literally how good of a player they are just by how they approach their single paradiddles. Because it's really, you can see all the fundamentals in that. Okay, so a couple of things that I'm trying to do is I'm trying to make sure that my upstroke, that I actually play it as a tap, right? I'm not just going to kind of skim and hit the drum on my way out, right? I want to, actually, the beat's going to go down and then move towards the upstroke. Then when I'm playing the upstroke, and depending on my tempo, I want to time it so that it gets to the top right as I need it to come down. That way, I'm going to be a little more efficient, right? I'm not going to have to stop and start. I think about that, the law of inertia, right? An object in motion stays in motion. So if I can time it right, it stays in motion. I can really literally use a lot of gravity on the way down. If I don't time it right and a little too fast, then you can send, I have to stop up here. It's a little tense. There's a lot of tension. I stop it, then I have to re-engage the energy and start again. And sometimes that tension makes us squeeze those first 2 notes. I hear that a lot. So it's not even 16 notes, 1 E and a 2 E and a. So let's think about our downstroke, upstroke, tap, tap. The up and the 2 taps should sound the same. So let's try that. So let's do 8 paradiddles. 1, 2. Notice we're going slow. Ready? And go. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so we're listening, right, while we're playing. Timing, I was listening for timing. I was listening for every tap to sound the same. In that example, I'm going to hear 2 sounds, only 2 sounds. 3 strokes, down, up, tap, 2 sounds. A lot of times I'll have my students, I'll say, you know, kind of pick 2 colors, contrasting colors. Let's say a red and a yellow. And I'm going to really strive for my accents to always have that, whatever now I call red, and my taps to have the yellow. And I'm really going to strive for those colors. every time. Okay, now if we take that a little bit more moderate tempo, paradiddle, paradiddle, and stay committed to flow, it's going to sound pretty good. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, so 8. 1, 2, 3. 5, 6, 7, 8. A little faster. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, a little faster. One, two. And what you can do through that is you kind of incrementally increase. Just check yourself. You know, can you still maintain all that consistency in your heights and your control and your flow as you bump it up a little bit? If you kind of get to a place where everything starts to not sound as good and you don't have that control, then you need to slow it back down. Slow time is go time, right? Slow is where, honestly, you're going to burn in all your best habits. It really is. When you get into faster tempos, it's a lot of muscle memory. So if your muscle memory is not really refined technique, you get into advanced stuff, the chances are you're not going to play that great, okay? In terms of what your potential is, if you'll really invest in these fundamentals. Okay, so bucks for the advanced level. How does this apply to advanced? This applies to anything in the family, to be honest. Alternating flams are the most simplest form to demonstrate that. If I play alternating flams, all right, and again, let's do this hand separate thing. I'm going to put my left hand stick on my leg, alternating flams. The very first thing we did, right? Down, up, up. Switch hands. Left hand, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. So sometimes, like, what I like to do is play alternating flams on my pad or my drum, but only say one hand at a time. So I'm playing them collectively, but I'm focusing on kind of, dialing in, like what's my right hand doing? Okay, I'll come out of that, and then I'll go to my left hand. So for instance, if I go 1, 3, and then I'll start down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Then I'll sing my left hand, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. A little and down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Left hand, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. And I'm really striving for nothing to change when the tempo's bumping up a little incrementally. So alternating flams. The best example of that's literally bucks. All right, accent tap. Let's take flam accents. Okay, which flam accents are essentially triplets with a flam on the beginning of the grouping. Alright, so we can kind of see that there's some notes, some rhythms in between, but it's really a pretty slow so that is a really isolated example of I just took this and found my down and up stroke. So I have down, tap, tap, up, 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 down, tap, tap. So it's a pretty slow bucks, right? If I go to my left hand, down, 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 down. So there's my up, down, down, up, down, up, down. So this is slow, right? In terms of that motion. So, you can see when I get into faster flam accents, it's not that fast. You've got a couple other notes that you have to fit in there, but the basic of that motion, it really isn't that fast. So the more refined that you have on that, the better that's going to sound. Then if you want to add in drags, if your heights are under control and you put that drag in right at the right height, sounds great. But if your heights aren't under control and your drag and all your interbeats kind of end up in that strike zone, it doesn't sound as good, and you're definitely not going to be able to go as fast because everything's high and kind of you're struggling to kind of keep it under control, right? So those are some advanced applications for bucks. So here's some other common motions, and I've kind of already touched on them, but I want to break them down in a little different way. So if we take bucks again, let's go downbeat bucks, and let's do one pattern on each hand. So one, down, down. Okay? What we're going to do is we're going to fill, let's go to 16 notes. So let's fill that in. Let's add, so we're going to play 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, that's our first measure. Then we're going to put the 16th note in the middle, 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and. Okay? Now, what you see with that is we have down, really essentially tap, tap, down, tap, down, tap, down, tap. Then we have down, up, tap, down, up, tap, down, up, tap, down, up, tap, down, tap, down, tap, down, tap, down, tap, down, up, tap, down, up, tap, down, up, tap, down, up, tap. So that rhythm is 1 E and 2 E and. But it's really important to recognize that the first note in this grouping, especially when we get into the 16 notes, the first note is a down, the second note is an up. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and, right? And just really getting a handle on those efficient motions. Okay, I'm trying not to waste a motion. I want to end my bead where I need it next. So if I need it here to play an accent, that upstroke takes me there. If I need it down to play a tap, then I'm going to end my bead down. That's why upstrokes and downstrokes really is where all the magic happens. Okay, so what does that apply to? It's a 3-note figure. I want you to think of this as a 3-note figure. Down, up, tap, down, up, tap, down, up, tap, down, up, tap. And we're 1 E N, 2 E N, 3 E N, 4 E N. Okay, so what you've just practiced is single paradiddle, the start of a single paradiddle, the start of a double paradiddle, the start of a triple paradiddle, start of a paradiddle diddle. So the entire paradiddle family. So if I do my single paradiddles, you can hear that 1 E N, 2 E. Literally adding one more note. Double paradiddle. First 3 notes are right. Triple paradiddle. Paradiddle diddle. Off the left. So that's how that 3-note figure can translate into some more advanced skills. Let's take that 3-note figure and morph that now into a triplet. So instead of 1 E N, down up tap, down up tap, down up tap, down up tap, I'm going to play a triplet. Down up tap, 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 down up tap. That's really helpful, like in the triplet grid. Especially knowing where that upstroke, up. I like to have my students literally circle upstrokes. So I'll pass out all the music for all the grids and I'll be like, circle your upstrokes. I even have them circle the upstrokes when it is a part of a flam, right? A perfect example is a flam acute, right? That upstroke is actually a grace note upstroke. Right? Many of your upstrokes are actually in the grace note. So kind of get in the habit of maybe highlighting those or circling those for a while until you become so efficient and so used to it that you don't have to do that anymore. It's just how you play. Okay, so flam paradiddles. Flam accents, which we just did a minute ago. We still have that if we take that 3-note figure, down, up, tap, down. And we use that as our base. Down, up, tap, down, up, tap, down, up, tap. Flam it, up, 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 up. Upstroke is in the same place as it was when an accent. Okay? Another area that we would actually, I'm going to kind of segue into some rolls now. Another area we would actually use an upstroke in a roll pattern would be a roll that has an accent at the end. So if we start on just like a 5-stroke roll, which is in our rudiment sheet written with an accent on the end, or 9-stroke, we do have still an upstroke. So in a 5-stroke roll, it's the second note of the double. So I'm kind of over-exaggerating there. So you don't even add that kind of exercise to your exercise routine if you've never really done this before. Is kind of like isolate that upstroke coming off the second note of the double. So this would be good exercise. Do this with me. Here we go. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4. Now let's fill it in. 2, 3 and a 4 and a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4. Tap up. All right. If we play 9-stroke roll, tap 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 up, tap up, tap 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 up. Fill it in. 1 E needing this motion. If we go fast, all right, double stops are a great way. So it essentially works if you're thinking about all those roll rudiments as well. Let's talk about rolls slow, developing your double quality slow. Remember, the title of this clinic was Slow Time is Go Time. So I've tried to demonstrate, honestly, how a couple of things that I've mentioned is like really slow. It can be tedious, right? But it's time well spent. It really is. On those very fundamental slow mechanics, all right? Particularly down and up. I mentioned that slow is where you burn in your habits. It's where and it gives you time. Going slow gives you time to kind of assess. You're not kind of chasing a tempo. You're really just kind of going slow and you're assessing what you're doing. And it just gives you a chance for the brain and the physicality of what we're doing to connect. Now, when we get into rolls, one thing I find myself saying, I judge all around the world, really, with WGI and DCI, particularly in WGI with some of the younger groups, I find myself saying this statement over and over, and it's rolls are rhythms. And so I think what sometimes a lot of younger players do that maybe haven't invested in the slower, really methodical approach is that the roll is like a feeling in the hand, and they think about that as the physicality of it rather than the simple math of it, really. So instead of just like, moving the hands, exchanging the hands and rolling, I'm going to really think about the math. They're 30-second notes. So if I were to single, which I just did, a 9-stroke roll, that gives me an idea of what the math is. 1 and a 2 and a 3. The right and left. Then I double it and try to match that. Maybe single, double, and go back and forth. One of the exercises I love to do with my students is just slow some rolls down so that instead of thinking of them as like a 16th note check pattern with some diddles, I make them take one step back in the rhythmic application. So instead of 1 and a 2 and a 4 and a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4, we'll go a little slower and we'll think of it as 1 and 2 and 3 and a 4 and a 1 and 2 and 3 and a 4 and a 1 and 2 and 3. What I like about that is it gives, in the doubles, it gives every note a place in our brain, the way our brain connects. So instead of like single, double, I'm thinking exact rhythms. 1 and 2 and 3 and a 4 and a 1 and 2 and 3 and a 4 and a 1 and 2 and 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1. Off the left, 1 and 2 and 3 and a 4 and a 1 and 2 and 3 and a 4 and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1. Let's do a triple grid. Let's do about 6 inches mezzo piano. We'll do a check pattern, a double on the first of the set of 3, the middle, and then the end. Okay? I'll have some music available for you too. But we're going to really think of them as 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1 and 2, 3, 1 and 2, 3, 1 and 2, 3, 1 and 2, 3. And just think three groupings. 1 and 3. 1, 2, 3, and 1. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and 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 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Start with a slow enough tempo, slow time is go time, to attach. Sometimes I think it's going to be a rhythm, right? And 1, 2, 3. open rhythms. And then as you just gradually bump it up. So I can play that fast and still think 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and my brain. Slow that's literally at a Hey everybody, welcome to Then I might discover that, and this is where a lot of people miss this, the third of the 4 notes is actually the grace note of the left flam. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3 up. 1, 2, 3 up. If I go to my left hand on the pad, hands separate, right hand on my leg, and I start with my right hand, I still have those 4 consecutive notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, down, 1, 2, 3, 4, down, 1, 2, 3, up, down, 1, 2, 3, up, down. So along the way, I'm discovering, oh, you know, and I have a better sense of doing exactly what I want to do, and it's not left up to chance. Okay, and then I can put those together. Remember I talked about saying one hand, down, tap, 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 up, 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 tap, down, tap, 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 up, down, tap, 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 up, down, tap, 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 up, down, tap, tap, tap. So I just said my right hand and said my left hand. Now, I don't necessarily do that. I have many times in the practice room, but mostly I'm thinking that. You know, I can literally just try to think that. Like, okay, even when I'm playing my hands together. What I've found a lot with my students in a drumline situation is we'll do roll exercise, hands separate, like the hugga-dugga-burr. Hands separate. And it's amazing when you do that. So what we do usually, which I'll just bring in this concept now, A, B, C. My students know, we're going to A, B, C it. Okay, so A would be together. B would be right hand. C is left hand. Right? And so we'll do a rep through each one of those. And we use the term A, B, C it. And then you literally identify everything. You can kind of listen. You'll notice that in most cases, most drum lines, the right hand isolation sounds pretty good, and the left is where all the dirt is. All right? But it's revealing. And when we reveal those things, then we know what we need to work on. The other way I use, let's transition into another way I use ABC. I use this all the time. Is A is super ridiculously painlessly slow. B is intermediate tempo. And C is show tempo, or if you're playing a solo, your solo tempo. And it's really amazing how you can really clean stuff up by doing the ABC. So I don't have really a musical example, but I could take like a grid, like let's do the 2s. So I'm going to do that slow. I can really identify my up strokes, up, up, moderate. Okay, that was your B, C. What you discover in that is, can you do all those? Like you make sure A sounds great. If A doesn't sound great, the slower tempo doesn't sound great, B's not going to sound good. Move into B. All right, I bumped up 10, 14, 16 met marks. Yeah, I still sound pretty good, still have control. Cool. Now I'm going to go into C, show tempo, whatever that is. Whatever my goal tempo might be, might not even be show tempo yet. And then, then you see how C goes. And that's a really quick way in personal practice and in a drumline situation to to expedite. You know, you don't have to explain anything. Once you teach your students ABC, then you don't really have to explain anything. You might say A is, you know, hands together, B is right hand separate, C is left hand separate, or we're going to ABC it in terms of tempo, so A is slow. But as soon as they learn that language, it's a really quick way in rehearsal to like check some things. We never sound good slow, particularly in a drumline situation. I'll take my students down to half tempo, and they literally have to place everything and control everything. That's usually where sometimes we don't sound great, but it's okay. If we're in rehearsal, we're working on something pretty important. So, you know, a lot of times I know a lot of people concentrate on the end result, the lot performance, or, you know, warm up when a lot of people come watch you. But it's okay to kind of like dig in your practice room or in your snare sectional or bass sectional, doing some things you can't do. And you're not going to sound great yet, but you're working on some fundamental things that are going to make you sound better. Okay, and then lastly, I'm just going to kind of throw this out here. This is a fun way to work your flam families, and that is to fake flam it. Okay, so fake flamming. So let's take those flam paradiddles. If I fake flam it, which means I'm going to throw the stick as if I'm going to play an accent, but I'm not going to actually let it hit the pad or the drum. But I'm going to play my grace note. So if I have flam paradiddles, so what that does is I start discovering this stick control pattern. 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1. Then I can concentrate on, can I make them all sound the same? From a color standpoint, remember our reds and yellows? Then can I control that tempo wise? Maybe if I'm working on faster, I want to make sure I can play fast fours, right? So you can go through all, like any of your flam rudiments. I do it with some exercises too. I do this 7/8 exercise I learned in North Texas back in the day, and it's a grouping of 4 3 4 3 3 4 3 4. I'm going to leave you with this one. This is the last one. So just think groupings: 43 43 34 34 4 3 4 3 3 4 3 4 off. Now if I flam that 4 3 4 3 3 4 3 4, if I fake flam that, not great start. 4 3 3 3 4 4 3. All right, so I'm just going to leave that for you. 4 3 4 3 3 4 3 4 fake flams. So recap: fundamentals, downstroke, upstroke. Drum, eat, sleep, downstroke, upstroke, right? Burn in those right habits. Remember how important those are for all your more advanced skills. Practice strategies: slow burns in, right. When we play fast, a lot of that is muscle memory. So really invest in the slow. Hands separate, ABC, rehearsal technique, and fake flams. Hey, thanks so much for joining me today. I hope you guys got something out of it. You can find me at Sister Jules 9397 on Instagram. I'm Julie Sutton Davila on Facebook, and I'm going to be new to Twitter here in just the next few days. So hope to see you there. Take care, guys. Have fun.
Hello. Hey, everybody. Wait, I think I'm on mute. Nope. Okay. Hey, Jeff Prospery. If you guys can hear me, welcome. Thank you so much for checking out the clinic. Super excited to be a part of this Valley Percussion Fest. I want to thank Gilbert Garcia and all my companies, Pearl, Zildjian, Evans, Innovative Percussion. So yeah, I guess this portion is going to be considered the Q&A. Are we good, Gilbert? We good to go? Slow time is go time. Thanks, Ron. Okay, so it looks like we are good to go. Just want to welcome everybody that stayed on for a little bit of a Q&A here. Thank you so much for checking out the clinic. I hope it was helpful. I know it's really, really basic information, but I find that really most of that information is so critical to advancing into advanced skills. So really appreciate everybody staying with it. I guess I'll put some questions in the chat if there's any questions. I've been checking out where everybody's from. Hello. Yeah, I think I had oh, hey, Robert. Hey, what are the best ways to check out if you're doing these fundamentals right? Recording yourself. The best one of the best tools that we have out there for particularly almost every young kid has one in their pocket would be recording yourself and watching it back. So I think that's the best way to sort of assess. Sometimes when we're in the middle of playing, we're thinking about too many things, or we have to think about so many things that sometimes we might miss some really obvious things that are happening. So recording yourself, I think, is a great way to, or encouraging your students to record themselves. Practice in front of a mirror, old school way to do that. And, practicing with friends, practice chop sessions with friends and be open-minded. I think the big thing is to be open-minded to receive information too. So, yeah. Any other comments, questions? I'm actually coming to you guys today from Chicago, visiting my daughter in Chicago, so I'm happy to hang on. And all right, Lalo. Hello, Belinda. Nice to meet you.
Can you hear me, Julie?
Yes.
Awesome. For some reason, I'm having a bit of technical difficulties. I am streaming from Millhart's Music Center, and I apologize. I had one glitch here, so really quick, guys, ladies and gentlemen, all the information will get to you. Okay, so if I know some of you were telling me that you were experiencing lag in your internet and things like that, don't worry. We will make sure that this information gets to you. So stay here with us. Find better internet. Uh, you know, uh, enjoy the. Make sure you do everything you can to enjoy the event. Please, please, please. This event took a lot of time from all the beautiful, amazing clinicians to make it come happen. So make sure that you join us and have fun. Have fun. Yes, Julie, I had one question that somebody sent me because they actually had a bad internet, and the question comes from Mr. Rick Yanez from Hidalgo High School. If you could give your perspective or importance of playing exercises left hand lead to help with consistency of sound.
Yes, left lead. I actually encourage my students to left lead about twice as much as they right lead, to be honest. I am a left-hander, so I actually had to reverse that in my training. I actually spent a whole summer just really, really invested in strengthening my right hand. It was like my last summer after high school before I went to college. And I actually got out my beginning percussion books, and I would just go page by page and try to play everything just off the right hand, all the accent tap, all the rhythms. The only thing I couldn't really play was rolls or flams, but I just read those rhythms. But I think the important thing about left lead is it puts your left hand on sort of the dominant beat, because a lot of times our left hand is the trailing. I call it the trailing hand. I even do this in scales too, where it's like if you right lead your scales and your left lead is kind of the trailer, right? And it's sometimes if you don't really pay attention to that hand, it can kind of be left to chance.
Ellie, go
So
to my
yeah.
truck and
So
there's lights and boxes.
I think it's important to put the left lead on the dominant
There's
beat,
some lights and
which
boxes.
helps.
Bring them.
And but I also find that helps going back when you go back to your right lead. That exercise of left lead and strengthening your left on the dominant beat actually helps. The other thing I do a lot is I just break down what the left hand is doing. You saw that in the clinic a little bit, like break down the hand separate. But I do that on the keyboards too. If I'm working on like fast 2-mallet licks or something, I'll just find all my left-hand notes and really kind of break those down, find those motions, find those rhythms. So yeah, I think it's really important. I think it really kind of can help homogenize your sound between your hands. Great question.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Well, Julie, thank you so much for doing this. And I was telling the attendees before the event started that I've seen your A game before. You know, we've had you live in person at Valley Percussion Festival a couple of years ago, and but this clinic, you just hit it out of the ballpark into the next zip code, and then it still went bouncing to the next one. Julie, you are amazing. And you know, you have a course for beginners, right?
I do.
If you can give us a quick synopsis of it, and how they can get it.
Yeah, and I don't see that I have the ability to type in the chat right now, so you could put it in the chat. But my beginning online percussion course is called the Percussion Club. So it's thepercussionclub.com. And so it's a real, like we have about 100 videos. It's systematically, methodically, pedagogically laid out. And if you like today's clinic, it's very similar to that. And I would say like the beginning first portion of the clinic, but that methodical approach is throughout the whole course. The Percussion Club, though, what I like about it's from day one, like take the stand out of the case for the first time. So it's really semester or year one of training. It's online. What I've done with it is basically I teach a lesson. Let's say I taught full strokes. That was a lesson. So I have a video on me teaching the full stroke. And then the next video is a video of a student playing the full stroke with a play along. And they're like college students. I hired a lot of my college students to play these parts. So what I like about that is the younger students see younger kids, right? And they're playing along with them on these videos, so they can hear and see good modeling. Underneath the video of that is the printable download. So they see me teach a lesson, then they open the next video and they see a younger, college student playing along with good technique. And they can print the exercise. So the whole course is kind of laid out like that. It's like a teaching video and then a video to play along with lots and lots and lots of downloadables. And it's for snare drum, mallets, and we do get into a little bit of timpanis and auxiliary percussion. And it's very diverse too. Kids that are taking this course will see someone that looks like them. I brought in a diverse group of kids, and that was really important to me to make sure that someone taking this course is going to, girls are going to see girls drumming, and lots of different ethnicities. So really proud of that. And we've had schools using it this year that have had really tremendous outcomes. So if you're interested at all, it's thepercussionclub.com, or just individually email me. I've done a lot of customized group pricing over the last year for schools. So I don't have those published prices, but I'll work it out for you. Okay. I'd love to have you check it out. If anybody wants a free 2-week trial of the Percussion Club, find me on Instagram or Facebook and private message me your email address, and I'll hook you up with a free online 2-week free ability to see the course and check it out.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So pretty much band directors, non-percussionists, if you don't have a percussion instructor on staff, you have a world-class educator in a box, plug and play, and you instantly have education for your percussion students if you're a non-percussionist. Julie,
Yeah.
thank you so much.
Yeah.
Loved your
Hey, if I
clinic.
could, thank you, Gilbert. If I could just say, you're right. It's definitely a plug and play. I have a lot of non-percussion band directors that are teaching their beginners that use it in class, and then all their students have their own personal logins so they can practice with it at home too. So just wanted to add that.
Nice.
But Hey, it's been an
Right.
honor to be a part of this event. Really, Gilbert, you've done an amazing job. I can't wait to check out so many of the other clinics over the weekend and over the next few days. So thank you so
Yes, yes.
much.
Coming up next is Kevin Donca. Um, it's gonna be out of this world, guys. So without further ado, Julie, we are gonna transfer from us to him. Enjoy, guys.
Perfect. Thanks.
Hello everybody, it's Kevin Donca with Donca Drums, and I'm so honored and privileged to be here today to share a clinic with you that I'm calling Making the Rudiments Fun, or Having Fun with Rudiments. First of all, if you want to know how to reach me, you can search for me on Facebook, Donca Drums, Instagram, Donca Drums. You can email me at doncadrums@gmail.com. My name is Donka, doncadrums@gmail.com. And I have a store. Just Google Donca Drums Store and you'll find it, and you'll find how to reach me for lessons and my book, my favorite warm-ups and exercises. And I'm going to be referring to some things in the book today because it's really one of the best things for being able to learn how to have fun with the rudiments. Now, why do we need to learn the rudiments in the first place? This is a question I get all the time. And the answer is very simple. If you were a musician on any other instrument, you'd need to learn all the different notes in the scales, and you need to learn all the different scales, how the sharps and the flats go together, and you'd have to understand that in order to learn all of the pieces that you would want to play. Well, as a musician and a drummer, we don't have all of those different notes and scales. What we have are different stickings, and we call those our rudiments. They are the rudimentary foundation of being able to play everything that is put in front of you. So let's jump right in. There are 13 essential, 26 standard, 40 PAS, a literally unlimited number of hybrid and compound rudiments. So we want to learn them exactly the way that they are written first, but then we want to make them fun. So one of the first things you can do, and one of the most effective, is to learn all of the rudiments in this particular way. Number one, some rudiments alternate, right? Like paradiddles, they alternate. And some don't, like paradiddle diddles. They all start on the same hand. So here's one of the first things you need to do. For all those rudiments that alternate, learn how to not alternate them, how to play them on the same hand. So paradiddles would be paradiddle, 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 or off the left. And learn how to play them non-alternating, both starting on the right and starting on the left. You won't believe how much different skill it takes to be able to do that. With the non-alternating rudiments, the ones that are always playing on the same hand, make sure you play those both starting on the right. Let's take paradiddle diddles again. And on the left. And alternating. Paradiddle diddle, paradiddle diddle. Takes a whole different level of skill to be able to play those quick low notes into a high note. Now, we'll talk about that in just a minute a little bit more, but this is one of the best ways to gain control, is to learn how to play these this way. Now, some people would say, but yeah, why would I ever want to play a same-handed paradiddle? Well, here's the right hand of same-handed paradiddles. Can you think of a time when you might play a cymbal ride that way? Or if you swing it for jazz? What if you wanted to do that the opposite way? You see, practicing the rudiments same-handed, this gives you the opportunity to do that. Plus, if we take pataflaflas, here's the right hand of pataflaflas. Here's the right hand of inverted flam taps. So if you're having trouble with inverted flam taps, it's probably because you've got a mental block saying, oh, that's fast to go. It's hard to do those two low beats followed by a high beat. And you've got it in your mind that that's hard. But if you practice same-handed paradiddles, your mind says, oh, it's just paradiddles. I can play those. And for some reason, the mental block goes away and you learn to teach your hands and your arms and your wrists the muscle memory that you need to be able to play IFTs. All right, so here's something else you can do. How about moving an accent to the different parts of the rudiment? Let's take a paradiddle again. I'm going to use paradiddle because I'm assuming with all the different levels of drummers that are on here, everybody at least knows a paradiddle. What if you were to move an accent from the first partial to the second to the third to the fourth, like paradiddle, 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 tap. Now, why would you want to do that? Well, there are lots of different kinds of strokes that we have in drumming, right? We have a regular rebound stroke where we let that stick bounce all the way back up. We have what we call a downstroke, where you stop the stick close to the head, right in playing position. And that's so that if you have to play an accent, your stick is down and ready to play a low note after that accent. We also have what we call a controlled bounce or a controlled stroke, where you do stop the stick, but you stop it a little higher up. Let's say you're playing 16th notes here. You don't want to stop your stick down here and then have to lift it up to play your next beat. You want to take it and stop it at 3 inches. So we have a rebound stroke, we have a downstroke, we have a controlled bounce stroke, and we have an upstroke where you hit and you lift. So you're doing a low note into an accent. Well, when you're practicing moving an accent around paradiddles, if you put the accent on a third partial, you practice that controlled bounce followed by a low stroke. See? You got to get it fast. Most of the time when I ask a kid to play the accent on the third partial, they accent the whole diddle. What if you did this? So you get that control. Now on the fourth partial, you're going to practice that upstroke. You pick that stick up real fast, and then you do an accent. So this is really valuable, just moving accents around. You can move one accent, you can move two accents. In fact, in my book, I have an exercise called Shift Happens, because you're shifting one accent through the paradiddle, then you're shifting two accents, and then in the advanced version, you're actually going to flam those accents too. So I want to play that for you. Let's do it at about maybe 100 beats a minute. That's a little too fast for most people to follow. Yeah, we will do, let's do 90 beats a minute. So I'm going to do 4 counts each of paradiddles. First on the first partial, second partial, third partial, fourth partial. And then I'm going to do 2 accents. First and second, second and third, third and fourth, first and fourth, first and third, second and fourth. And I'm going to repeat the whole thing, and I'm going to add flams to it. And so this is called Shift Happens. Not 2 accents. It's always playing paradiddles. Now the first and third. Now the second and fourth. Now again with flams. Whoops. Now double. First and third, second and fourth. That's a lot harder than it looks. And then you can do it with 3 accents as well, and with all accents. So you see, shifting an accent, shifting a flam, these are all really good ways to do that. You can also shift the flam and the accent separately. So I have another exercise in my book called the double grid flam accent. Now, this is one that is extraordinarily beneficial. First, we're going to take it in 3 parts. The first part is playing flam accents. So you've got a flam and 2 strokes in triplets. And we're going to accent the first 4. We'll accent the first partial, then we do the second partial, then we do the third partial, but we always leave the flam on that first partial. Here we go. And again, when you're moving that accent to the second partial, you've got an upstroke. When it's on the third, you've got a downstroke followed by a low stroke, which is really good for doing low notes after flams. So you got all the way down for the grace note. So let's play that all the way through. Here we go. If you've never tried that, it's really pretty hard. So now, the second part of the exercise, we do that same exact accent pattern, but we move the flam only to the second partial. So here we go. And the third time through, you probably guessed, we put the flam on the third partial, same accent pattern. So I'm going to play the whole thing, all 3 parts. Here we go. Now second. And a third. Of course, you can complicate this as much as you want, adding cheeses, adding flam drags, adding flam fives. So another thing that you can do is actually change the sticking of the rudiment. So let's take something like a paradiddle. We've got 2 single strokes followed by a double stroke, or what we call a diddle. Now, what if you were to move that diddle, put it on the first 2 partials, and then the second and third, then the third and the fourth, then the first and the fourth? This is an exercise in my book called STD1, and STD does not stand for sexually transmitted disease. It stands for shift the diddle. So you can do this with paradiddles, you can do it with double paradiddles. So let me show you with paradiddles. Diddle, paradiddle, paradiddle, diddle, diddle, diddle. Now it's on the paradiddle word, third and fourth, now the first and fourth. Now you can do it with no accents, you can do it with accents. Or you can do it keeping the accent on 1. Okay, so that's how you can change the actual sticking. Now, you can also add a flam on that diddle and do the same thing. No accents, accent the flam diddle, accent only 1. I like to do it with double paradiddles. Okay, so if we do double paradiddle, double paradiddle, double, but we're moving that diddle. Third and fourth. Now regular double paradiddles. And then the last and the first. Okay, then you can, like I said, you can add flams. You can, I'll do it with flams, keeping the accent on 1. 1, let's see. 1, 2, ready, go. Okay, before I forget, this drum pad I'm using is from Rudimental Drummers. It's RD Pads, and it's their drum corps pad, and it has a real Evans drum head on it. They come in lots of different styles, depending on what you need: concert need, field drum, high tension. They have a smaller one for travel, but this is a wonderful drum pad. It's decently priced. It's really well made, and the company is great. It's not like these other companies that take forever to get you your pad. So anyway, I know a lot of people are going to ask about that, so I wanted to cover that. All right, so one of the other things that we can do is adding drags, adding 5-stroke rolls, adding flams, adding all kinds of things like that. So if we take regular paradiddles, let's go back down to about 120. Add a drag on 1, add a drag on 2, add a drag on 4, add a drag on 1 and 2, 1 and 4, 2 and 4, 1, 2 and 4. I mean, you can add things all over the place. I know I'm kind of going fast. I don't want to run out of time. I've got some other things I want to get to. But adding flams, adding cheeses, adding flam drags. There's an exercise called the Big Three, where you take flam accents and you add a cheese, then you add a flam drag, then you add a flam 5. So it goes like this: cheese, flam drag, flam 5. Now, what if you did that and moved the accent on each of those? So you do flam accent, move the accent. Now the cheese. Now the flam drags. And flam 5s. As I said, the possibilities are endless, but every time that you do this, not only do you make the rudiment more fun, you massively develop your chops. Okay, so there's another thing that I like to call rudonyms. I believe I made up that word, but it doesn't really matter. But a rudonym is like a homonym. In our English language, we have words that sound exactly the same, but they're spelled differently and have different meanings. So a rudonym is two different stickings that sound the same. Now, some just naturally occur, like flam accents and Swiss triplets, or Swiss Army triplets. They sound the same. But what you can do is you can actually change stickings to make them sound like a particular rudiment. So if we take something like pataflaflas, which is 4/16 notes with a flam and an accent on the first and fourth partial. What other sticking could we do? We could take a flam mill sticking, which is right, left, left, right, left, and put the flams and the accents like a pataflafla. We could do an inverted paradiddle sticking, right? So tap, diddle, tap. And we could put the flams and the accents on the first and fourth like a pataflafla. I love playing those. I used to call those Kevy Flaflas because I didn't know anybody else had played them. But I don't like putting my name on that, so I changed it to Middle Diddle Flaflas. Those are cool. You can do paradiddle sticking and do flaflas. Paradiddle, paradiddle. First you got to learn how to play the double accent paradiddle. Then add the flams. Those are really hard to play. Okay, so now there's a couple other things that we need to get to. Number one, you need to vary your tempo. It takes different techniques to play things at different speed. If I'm playing, I have an exercise in my book called Slow Fast Singles. It goes. Now you play it twice as fast. So you notice when I'm playing slow, I'm holding the sticks. I'm playing every beat with my wrist. When I play the fast version, it's all fingers. So you want to practice slow, you want to practice fast because they take different techniques, but you also want to practice moving from slow to fast and back to slow, what we used to call open to close to open, because as you move from one style and technique to the other, playing slow to fast to slow, you have what we call T zones, and T stands for transition. Transition zones where you're moving from fingers to fingers and wrist, to fingers, wrist, and arm, to just wrist and arm, to just arm and fingers. And you need to be able to play all of those different things. And your T zones need to be smooth. They need to be seamless. It's like a singer. A singer goes from their full voice to their falsetto and back down to their full voice. And the best ones have that seamless transition where they've learned how to shift their voice from one way to another, and you can't tell they've done it. And we need to be able to drum that way too. So practice all varying tempos. The other thing is practice different heights and different volumes, because just like you use different different technique to play this compared to this, you also use different muscles, playing a roll here, playing a roll here, playing a roll here, here, and here. No matter what you're playing, you use different muscles. So if we just take 16th notes, I'll go down to 120. If we take 16th notes and play them at 1 inch, 3 inches, 4 inches, 6 inches, 9 inches, 12 inches, 15 inches, we use all different muscles all through there. So not only do you have to practice different speeds, you have to practice different heights, different volumes, and this is going to really help you build those chops. Now, another thing that you can do is moving the rudiments around the drum kit. For example, if you do 6-stroke rolls, you can play the accents on different toms. You can play drags. You can move them around the drum kit. Steve Gadd likes to play, Steve Gadd on many different songs, he plays ratomacues and moves them around the drum. He even incorporates his feet into those. So bass drum for the tap, boom. You can play 6-stroke rolls and involve your feet. So this has application. All of this has application. Now, another thing you can do is string rudiments together. There's an exercise, 2 exercises in my book that do this really well. One is called the DC Flam Grid, where you take flamadiddles, flam taps, pataflaflas, and inverted flam taps. And you string those together in different counts. The one called Anaheim has Swiss triplets and flamadiddles and pataflaflas. Now you move the accent and same-handed flamadiddles. So that exercise called Anaheim really puts together a lot of the stuff that we've talked about. Now, I've got just a few more minutes, and I want to take it to talk to you about why it's not only important to get your rudiments down, but why it matters as far as the music goes. First of all, one of the things that you need to remember is that this is not just beats. This is actually music. It's our drum music. And so you should go ahead and find songs and play rudiments to your songs, play exercises to your songs. One of my favorite pieces is called Flamnambulous. If you haven't seen it, just Google Flamnambulous and get that sheet music. But it's a very hard flam piece, and depending on which song you play it with, it has a completely different feel. So I like to play Flamnambulous to a song called Plane by the band 311 or 311. I don't know how you say it. But also, I like to play Flamnambulous to Tower of Power's song, What is Hip? And I like to play it to Aerosmith, Walk This Way. And when I play that exercise, even though it's the same exact beats, it has a completely different feel depending on what song I'm playing it with. And sometimes I might swing the beats, sometimes I play them straight, but it's really important to be able to get those different feels. Now, here's the last thing. We have to remember that the drummer is responsible for creating the groove. The whole rhythm section is, yes, but the drummer specifically is really charged with creating the groove. Now, here's what I want to say. There's no such thing as simply practicing. I want to tell you that. There's either practicing with an audience or there's practicing without an audience. But you should always play as if you're performing. So it's performing with an audience or performing without an audience. If you don't practice the way that you need to perform, you'll never be able to perform the way that you want to. Now, why is it important to learn all these rudiments? Because as long as you're thinking about what you're playing, as long as you have to think, oh, I have to do a downstroke here, or I'm playing a paradiddle here, or a ratamacue here, or this kind of jazz ride pattern here, as long as you're thinking about it, you're in your head. You're not in your heart. It's hard to get a groove going in your head if it's not also in your heart. And here's the most important thing to remember. If your drumming can't make you groove, there's no way it's going to make the audience groove. If your music can't move you, it's not going to move your audience. So practice these ad nauseum. I got to tell you, I've played moving the accent on paradiddle so much, I don't even have to think about it. I can have a conversation with somebody because my hands just know what to do. And if you practice a piece over and over and over and over again until it gets to the point where you can just play it, you don't even have to think about it. You've played it so many times that you just know it. Now you don't think about the piece anymore. Now you think about the groove that it makes. And you can play it at all different speeds and all different tempos. That one I just played, it's got a cool groove there. What if I slow it down? It's got a whole different feel. But the thing is, I've got the sticking down and the rudiments down so completely that all I have to do is groove. All I have to do is groove. Just feel that groove, feel that music. And I can tell you this, one of the things that a lot of people say about when they watch me is, man, I could really feel your passion in that playing. That's because I'm not thinking about the beats. I'm not thinking about what my hands have to do. I'm in my heart, not my head. It's music. It's music. Okay, so the last thing I want to say in my last couple of minutes here is, if someone can play something, if someone has ever played it, that means that you too can play it. If someone has played it, I can play it. That's what you say to yourself. If you don't say you don't say I can't play that. First of all, if you ever find yourself saying I can't, make sure you add the word yet. I can't play that yet. That means it is coming, you just aren't quite there. But remember, if someone can play it, you can play it. You just need a couple of things. Number one, you need the amount of time to build the muscle memory to be able to play it. Number two, you need the discipline during that time to be able to work on the parts of how you do it. Maybe you're learning paradiddles and you're learning one hand at a time. Or maybe you're learning the front half of the rudiment first. And then the back half. And then you put them together. Maybe you're learning a hybrid rudiment like book reports, so you learn paradiddles, and then you learn choo-choos, and then you learn stutterdiddles, and then these, whatever they're called, and then book reports. You see, a lot of people come up and they want to play these advanced rudiments, but they can't move an accent through a paradiddle. Learn the different parts, okay? So time and discipline, patience. Patience is really, really important. Being patient with yourself, feeling a groove all the way through, knowing that you're not playing it perfectly yet, but the more that you practice and the more that you spend time and have discipline and patience, the more you'll get to it. And the last thing you need is the proper instruction. So make sure that you get a teacher that knows what they're doing. make sure that you watch videos of people that show you different ways to do things. All teachers teach in different ways. Have multiple teachers through YouTube, through Facebook, through Instagram, through TikTok, through whatever you do. Go to different clinics. Watch these kinds of multi-artist clinics that show you different ways to do the same thing. So time, discipline, patience, and the right instruction will help you to say, if somebody can play it, I can play it. So again, if you want to reach me, doncadrums@gmail.com. I'm on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok as Donca Drums. If you are interested in getting my book or taking lessons, just Google Donca Drums Store. It should be the first thing that comes up. And I will be available to help anybody that wants any help in any way. So again, it's been an honor and a privilege to do this clinic for you. And I thank those that are putting on the clinic. This is so valuable to have all these artists doing these things. And until we meet again, happy drumming.
One, two, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, welcome out to the Valley Percussion Festival. I am so excited to be here. My name is Jim Riley. I hail from Nashville, Tennessee. I'm a professional drummer and I love to teach, so this is going to be an amazing 45 minutes. Now I'm going to try to make this as interactive as possible. So I've got some questions here that some of the audience has submitted. And so here we go. What should a beginning drummer focus on? Well, you know, it's kind of amazing. When I do the drum camps that I do, that I just started back presenting, one of the funny things about it is beginners need to work on fundamentals. Advanced players need to be reminded what fundamentals are, right? So it's all about fundamentals. Creating a great sound on the drums, learning how to play solid grooves, and creating fills that will help connect the sections that we're going to play. So I'm going to explain a little bit of all of this to you. The first thing that we've got to make sure is that we're very comfortable sitting behind the drum set. When you're playing your snare drum, you've got to make sure that you've got full access to the drum. You can play a rim shot on both hands. And so you're not playing down below in between your knees. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to play just a regular, solid 4/4 rock groove. And then I'm going to play it for you, and you'll notice a couple of things. Now, believe it or not, that groove right there is probably the one I play the most in my career, and it's the one that's made me the most, money as a professional musician. So it's ironic that the first groove that I would want you to work as a beginning drummer is the one that is going to be the most profitable, but there it is. So the interesting thing is, how well can you play it? And the first thing we've got to look at is your quality of sound. How am I creating these tones on the drum? Well, the first thing is with the bass drum. Me personally, what I'm doing is I'm burying the beater. That's giving me a very consistent hit on the bass drum without any extra flutters. And that's a sound that I really like. On the snare drum, on the pop stuff, the rock stuff, I'm playing a rim shot. When I play that rim shot, the beat of the stick is right in the center of the drum. That's the driest part of the drum. And that's where we're going to get the best tone. With the hi-hats, there is more than one way to play it. We can play with a pulse like this. We can play it more like even eighth notes on the hi-hat. You can even do some tick-tock type things. There's no one way to play the hi-hat, so you can use some of the different techniques to apply to the different songs. And you'll see that I'll be doing that within the course of this clinic. Now, in Survival Guide, what I do, and this is my book, Survival Guide for the Modern Drummer, I work through not only kind of your typical drum grooves, but we also work on pretty quickly the idea of ghost notes. Now with the ghost notes comes a whole different three-dimensional level to the sound that we're creating. You know, the central part of the groove is this. But when we add ghost notes, we can have some really nice details. The key is to make sure that you are taking control of those, taking ownership of them. So I've broken them down into 6 ghost note elements. The first one is the single tap. The second one is the single drag. The third one is something I call the backbeat stutter, which is this technique is going to become really handy later when you start working on like the Purdy shuffle, the Picaro shuffle. Where you're playing a backbeat immediately followed by a ghost note. So that's what's going on in the backbeat stutter. The fourth one is going to be something I'm going to use later in the songo, which I call the middle two, which of the 4/16, we're going to just play the middle two. With the hi-hat, it gets a little bit more complicated, so you've got to work it out. The last two elements are hi-hat notes, which is and so once you take control of these ghost notes, these are things that you can use within the context of a song. Now, as we're creating parts for a song, we have to consider how the parts of the song function. So we have to look at the anatomy of the song, the intro, the verse, the chorus, the bridge, the solo. All of these are different parts of the song that we need to identify, figure out what they do, and that way we can best support the song. Now the intro's obvious. That's the part before anybody's singing. That's it's the introduction. The verse, that's an interesting thing. What's it all about? The verse is the part of the song where the story is being told. That means if a story is being told, the first thing we need to do is get out of the way. So we're going to play closed hi-hats a lot of the times. Less fills. We get to the chorus. That's the message. That's the refrain. That's the thing that's going to get repeated. We're going to bring the level up. So if we were playing closed hi-hat, we can go to the open hi-hat for the chorus, and that's going to lift it up. Now, after the chorus, we typically go back and play the intro again, which we'll call a turnaround, and then the verse, then the chorus. The next part of the song that comes up a lot of the time, is called the bridge. The bridge is a unique section, so we want to give it a unique voice. In this case, I'm going to play it, let's see here. I think I'll play it on the crash cymbal. The reason I want to do that is because this is going to be, energy-wise, going to be one of the real apexes of the song. And I want to bring that energy up as high as I can, one level above the open hi-hat. On this song we're going to play next, it's got a solo. Some songs have a solo, some songs do not. The next section that we're going to deal with is a breakdown chorus. Now, I want you to compare this to songs that you know and see how closely what I'm talking about resembles to the songs that you like and you listen to. So usually the chorus gets revisited. A lot of times it gets broken down or there's a stop in there or something. So that's something that we have to be very aware of. And then we're playing on our way out. So the first song that I played for you was a Naningo. That was track number 124 in my book, Survival Guide for the Modern Drummer. The next track I'm going to play for you is actually going to be track 2. So one of the very simplest tracks in the book, but one that I really enjoy.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4.
All right, so you can see there where I was using the voicings, the orchestration around the drum set, the close hi-hat, the open hi-hat, the ride cymbal, to create the different sections of the song. The last thing we didn't cover is the fills. Now the fills that I'm playing are very particular. I'm using a lot of fills that have a formula, and I'm going to share that formula with you. So the first fill that I play most often is this one. Second fill I play a lot. A fill I played a couple times in that song was now, what do all of these fills have in common, and many of the other fills that I played? Within these fills, the right hand never stops playing eighth notes. So you can kind of follow the bouncing ball and realize the right hand never stops ever playing eighth notes. That keeps the time flowing through them. Now, you can play other styles of fills like these. But it's more like you stopped playing time to start playing a fill. So these types of fills, which are all on page 12 of my book, Survival Guide for the Modern Drummer, are a real secret to creating grooves and fills that work together and groove all the way through. So I hope you enjoy that. Let me go back to our list here and check on some other questions here. How much time should young players work on their hands versus their feet? Well, the truth is they're both very important. When I start out with beginners, we really focus on the hands. I know down in the valley, I mean, you guys have got great percussion programs down there. A lot of drum lines, and that's really good for your hands. Learning heights, like with the exercise like Bucks, which is an accent and a tap. We really have to master the ability to play at multiple heights within a short period of time. That helps us when we're taking other rudiments, like say a paradiddle, around. The accents are key. Learning your rudiments. Rudiments are an incredible building block. I have a new book coming out. It's called Improvisational Tools for the Modern Drummer. I'm excited about it because it takes a lot of things around the drum set that we first learn on the snare drum. It could be a paradiddle diddle. Could be a 6-stroke roll. And where it starts off is actually with something I want to cover with you today, which is combinations between the hands and the feet. So to answer your question, there are a lot of things you can do to work on both the hands and the feet together that are pretty cool. So one of the first things I like to do is to play 2 and 2. That's 2 on the snare and 2 on the kick. So that's going to be... All right, so I can play that in a very simple rock setting. But what's cool is I can take it and reverse it. One of my favorite things to do with it is to invert it, starting with a single on the snare, going to the bass double. That ends up being really cool fast. That's one of those things where I can explain to you what it is. I show it to you and you still think it's cool because it just sounds great. It's not a difficult concept, but it works really well. The next one we can do is 4 and 2. Now that pattern doesn't work out evenly within the context of 4/4. So you've got to play it twice. 6 times 2 is 12, plus 4 is 16. It does, however, work out very evenly in a triplet environment like swing. So, I think it's time to play another track.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
All right. I hope you enjoyed that. So that was in 7/8. Now, it didn't have your traditional 7/8 feel. A lot of times 7/8 is like, and the accent, recycles every measure. So you got, well, what this song does is it actually takes the quarter note and it plays it through the bar line. So it's going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Get it? So we'd be going. Makes 7/8 a lot more accessible. So there's the lesson for you if you're looking for ways to make some of your odd time signatures sound a little bit more accessible to the average listener. All right, back to the questions. All right. What has been my favorite venue to play ever? I've got to play a lot of really cool ones. Madison Square Garden in New York City is fantastic. Probably one of my favorites was actually just in the last couple of years, which was Red Rocks in Denver, Colorado, which is a natural amphitheater that's built out of the rock. And it's a beautiful place to play. It sounds amazing. It is inspiring to play in such a incredibly gorgeous place, and the crowd is at such an angle that they're just, it's like they're right on top of you, and it's really, really a blast to play there. So it's about time for me to wrap this clinic up. I've had a wonderful time working with you. If you ever want to get in contact with me, you can reach out via the socials. You can go to Instagram, follow me there. I'm Jim Riley Music there. I believe I'm Jim Riley Music on Facebook. You can always go to my website, jimrileymusic.com, which is also a place that you can, pick up my books along with places like Amazon. But anyways, I've had a great time. I quickly want to thank my sponsors. I can't do this stuff without them. Sabian Cymbals, Ludwig Drums, LP Percussion, LP. Thank you so much for being involved in this clinic. Remo, Innovative Percussion, fantastic. I've got a new stick out. It's called the Balance Point Stick, one of the first sticks to ever accurately mark the balance point for educational purposes, but also just to really kind of check yourself. Great feeling stick. And of course, I've got my balance point beater here, which has also just come out, which I really love. You can check those out on Innovative's website. And Gibraltar Hardware, they've been fantastic throughout my career. So anyways, I'm going to end with one more song. I appreciate you, and I look forward to visiting with you another time. I'm going to play you one of my favorite grooves, one of my favorite tracks in this book. This is the Songo track. A lot of happy accidents went into this track, but it's one of my favorites. And of course, the creator of this groove is somebody I actually met in person in Cuba. Goes by the name Changuito. And he is the inventor of the Songo groove, and hope you'll look him up. So I'm going to play you the Songo track. Thank you, everybody, for having me here at this percussion festival, and I hope you enjoy the rest of it.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Jim,
Yeah,
amazing clinic, sir.
thank you.
Amazing clinic. Wow. Wow. And man, I think I had mentioned this to you before streaming today. Um, I've seen your A game before, sir. And today, oh my gosh, and I think it was a consensus, Jim, of all the clinicians, because I would hear from the different ones, and I still do, the ones that haven't performed. It's like, I know everybody's bringing their A game. I cannot be last. I cannot be last. So it's building up. It's building up, and boy, man, what a way to wrap up the first half of VPF 2021, first day. Wow.
Well, thank you. Yeah, that was a blast to put together for sure. Uh, this has been a challenging year for clinics. So when you asked me to do this, I was like, wow, I'm a little rusty on my clinic game. So this will be really fun to put together. And it was also great to work in my home studio. So it was great,
Y-
fun.
Yes, 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 and your sound, your drum sound, sir. It's beautiful. I kept getting people kept texting me, that sound. Wow, wow. It's like, yeah, that's why he is who he is. Yes, yes, Jim. Thank you so much for doing this. When I reached out to you, if I recall correctly, sir, you saw that this was happening, and you showed interest. You wanted to participate,
Oh
and
yeah, I
yeah,
just saw it from a fan perspective. I said, "Hey, this looks like a great event," and I just reached out to you and said, "Hey, man, I just so you know, I'd love to be involved because
yes,
I've been down to the festival in person. It's a tremendous event. I'm sure that will happen at some point in the future. But boy, this is a great way to keep things going."
yes, yes, definitely, definitely, and COVID has brought many things, but I think that one of the things that it's bringing with it, and it's leaving behind, is progress. Because, like you said, you've been to the event, and this went from one day of percussion to a festival, and man, the cast, at a very high level, like you, my friend, it's incredible, incredible.
Well, really happy to be involved.
Yes, yes, yes. Uh, okay, we don't have questions, but we do have a comment. Such an amazing musician, and even better person. Yes, um, absolutely, absolutely. Well, Jim, is there anything that you would like to share with us? Following the purpose of the event.
Oh no, I mean, like I said, I'm honored to be involved anytime. And I saw Julie Davila earlier. Julie Davila and I went to North Texas together. We actually marched in the drum line right next to each other. She was on the snare line her senior year when I was playing on the
Wow.
bass drum line my freshman year. And so I've always looked up to Julie and consider her a dear friend, and she knocks it out of the park every time. Uh, you've done a great job of surrounding yourself with fantastic educators that are high quality individuals. So, I mean, I wish you luck just continuing to keep this going forward. And I know the rest of your clinics are going to be awesome.
Yes, yes, yes. Uh, the evening segment is going to be slamming, slamming. I could keep going on and on and on and talking about it, but it's not gonna matter. You need to experience it. Jim, thank you so much for doing it. Thank you for being willing to give from yourself, like the rest of the clinicians. And Valley Percussion Festival is your home, sir. Is your home, and the Rio Grande Valley, South Texas, loves you. And I continuously get different. People that message me, they want to see you again, they want to see you again,
Well,
so
I'll be
we got to
very
bring you
happy to
live.
come back in person. Boy, that is one really phenomenal event there, and it'll be great to get back there because the people were wonderful, and the percussion environment was just out of this world.
Yes, 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 it is. Yes, it is.
All right, well, I'm going to
Beautiful.
get back to
Well,
teaching.
Jim, thank you so much, sir. Have a great day. And well, folks, this is it for the first half of
Enjoy the rest of
Valley
the festival,
Percussion Festival.
everybody.
Thank you, guys. We will see you back at 1. At 1. I will go on live a bit before, maybe 5-10 minutes. So be looking for it. It's gonna be the same links, the same uh, uh, social media platforms that you've been using, and we'll see you right after this intermission. Thank you.